What up, world? establishedrich coming right back at you. This is one of those moments that looks like a lawsuit, but sounds like a eulogy. Not for a man, but for an era. Because what we really watching is not Sean Combs versus Netflix. We watching power realize it expired without being told. See, when you used to being feared, silence used to mean respect. Now, silence means you missed a memo, and Sean Combs missed about 20 of them.
You want to put the stuff in my fanny pack, King?
The exclusive video obtained by Netflix shows Combs debating with his lawyers about strategy.
Listen to me. I'm going to get off the phone right now, and I am going to let you professionals look at the situation and come back to me with a solution. No matter what, no matter what nobody said. Let's just here and there, y'all are not working together the right way. We're losing.
Overnight, lawyers for Sean Diddy Combs trying to stop the release of a Netflix docuseries due out today.
We have to find somebody that'll work with us that has dealt in the dirtiest of dirty business.
The series contains never-before-seen footage of Combs debating strategy with his lawyers in the days leading up to his arrest in New York last year. Now, Combs' lawyers are demanding Netflix pull the series, threatening legal action, claiming Netflix is using stolen footage that was never authorized for release as part of what they call a shameful hit piece.
Netflix didn't betray Diddy. They assessed him, and they decided he was no longer an asset, just content. That's the part people don't want to say, because it sounds cold. But business ain't a feeling sport. It's a leverage sport. Diddy is talking about trust. Netflix is talking about traffic. These are two different conversations happening on two different planets. When Diddy says, that footage was meant for me to tell my own story, what he really means is, I'm mad I don't control the narrative anymore. And control was always the real currency, not the checks. Back in the day, you couldn't tell a Diddy story without Diddy. Now you can tell it without even asking. This is why his statement sounds emotional. Power never sounds emotional. It sounds calm. Emotion is what shows up when the doors don't open on command no more. He brings up Ted Sarandos. He brings up Clarence Avant. That's name dropping his defense. And name dropping only works when the name still answers. See, the game has moved on from who you know. Now it's who can survive without you. And the answer clearly is Netflix. When a man says, this is a personal breach of trust, what he's really saying is, I thought I was still immune. Immunity ends the moment you become replaceable. And here's the hardest truth. Diddy is rich, but he broke in influence. He's like a lottery winner. A bunch of money, but no power. Lots of history, no future leverage. Now let's talk about the part everybody talking about, 50 Cent.
Who said, quote, we obtained the footage legally and have the necessary rights, end quote. Before the cease and desist demand was sent yesterday, Stapleton and Jackson sat down with our Robin Roberts to discuss the series.
How do you respond to people who say that it's more about the disdain that you have for Sean Combs than it is for giving the victims a platform?
It's not personal.
The show is not completely the perspectives of people that did not like Sean. Not everyone needed to have an allegation to be a part of this.
Combs is currently serving more than 4 years in prison on prostitution-related charges. Hannah Battah, ABC News, New York.
We're losing.
Netflix releasing never-before-seen video of Sean Diddy Combs filmed just days before his arrest on charges of sex trafficking and racketeering in 2024. The footage is part of a 4-part docuseries, Sean Combs: The Reckoning, premiering Tuesday.
How did you get that footage of Diddy?
I figured most journalists would not disclose their sources.
Does he know y'all have this in the doc?
I would doubt he knows.
So when this airs, that'll be the first time that his legal team, Diddy, that everybody knows that this footage is now seeing the light of day. Perhaps.
Combs' team firing back in a statement to NBC News, saying the Netflix so-called documentary is a shameful hit piece and that they relied on stolen footage that was never authorized for release. His team sending a cease and desist to Netflix.
50 didn't need to lie. He just needed to wait because time would do what disc records can't. When 50 sat on Good Morning America smiling, that wasn't promotion. That was a man doing a victory lap without touching the track. When he said Diddy would find the doc amazing, that was a masterclass in psychological shade. It suggests even Diddy knows some of it is true. 50 isn't trying to destroy Diddy. He's letting Diddy watch himself be reframed. That's way worse. People think this is beef. This is status confirmation. 50 is operating from a position where he don't need permission. Diddy is operating from a position where he expected it. And that expectation is what got him here. Because the internet don't care about legacy, it cares about access. And Diddy no longer controls the gate. This ain't about stolen footage. This is about stolen authority. And authority can't be lawsuited back. Listen, this is the part where people expect a rescue. And that expectation is exactly why there won't be one. Because in real life, power don't get defended. It gets felt. Look around right now. Notice who's quiet? No industry titan speaking up. No legends rushing to clarify. Silence is a language. And that language is translating to we've moved on. Look, when a man still has power, people protect him to protect themselves. When a man loses power, people distance themselves. This is why nobody is calling Netflix out of line. Because Netflix ain't doing nothing risky. Risk only exists when consequences still work. Sean Combs is no longer a consequence. He's a case study. And case studies don't get courtesy calls. They get footnotes. Diddy is operating from a time where fear created loyalty. That time is over. Today, data creates loyalty. Engagement creates security. And legacy without engagement is just a story old people tell each other. This is why the breach of trust line falls flat. Trust ain't a perk, it's a transaction. And transactions expire when both sides stop benefiting. Netflix ain't emotional. Netflix is algorithmic. They don't feel betrayal. They feel traffic. Diddy talking about rights. Netflix talking about watch time. The scoreboard don't care who thinks it's unfair. This is why his statement sounds like a man from another decade. He's speaking in respect currency that no longer exchanges. You can't cash in on I built this in a world that only cares about who can stream this. Let's talk about mobility, real mobility. My bosses don't need press releases. They need whispers. The moment you start announcing how powerful you are, the room has already shifted. Diddy is suing the idea that he's done. But you can't litigate cultural consensus. This is why he feels like a lottery winner. Everybody know he got money, but nobody feels obligated to let him in the room no more. Money without influence is like isolation without a view. And here's where 50 comes back into the frame. People think 50 is petty. He's patient. 50 understood one simple rule. Survive long enough and circumstances do the talking. When 50 said Diddy will find the doc amazing, he ain't mocking, he exposing. He's saying even you know some of this is you. That's not a diss, that's a mirror. And mirrors hurt more than insults. 50 didn't need control, he needed timing. And timing is what Diddy lost trying to control everything. This is the irony. The man who once owned the room lost it by trying to own every version of the story. Control only works when the crowd believes you still dangerous. Once they stop believing that, you just loud. This is why no one is afraid of burning bridges with Diddy. You don't worry about bridges that no longer lead nowhere. Hollywood don't hold grudges, it holds calculators. And the calculator says this: there is more upside in the documentary than in the man. And that ain't hate. That's business evolving faster than your ego. This ain't about guilt. This is about gravity. Everything floats until it doesn't. Sean Combs is not being attacked. He's being archived. And archiving feels like disrespect when you used to being feared. But fear don't age well. Adaption does. 50 adapted. Netflix adapted. Diddy held on to the idea that the old rules still applied. This is the final lesson. Power is not what you build. Power is what still moves when you walk away. This ain't a fall from grace. This is what happens when the crown expires and nobody announces it. But hey, that's just my opinion. What's yours? Like, comment, subscribe, establish rich. I'll be back with another one. Peace.